Hi, today I'm going to share with you about the importance of muscles. Now, you might have seen that I'm sharing a lot of information regarding weight loss and fitness because I want to share science-based information to help people on their nutrition, weight loss, and fitness because I want all of us to be aging in a very healthy way, right? I don't want us to be spending our future in hospital beds and spending our life in pain because we don't take action right now and we don't pay attention to your health. Now, when it comes to staying fit and being healthy, a lot of people kind of read and they do exercises and take care of their food and all that. But one thing that I saw that many people lack information, including me, until I started reading a lot about these facts. One of them that we don't pay attention or we are not aware or ignorant about is about these muscles, right? What are they doing, why is it so important, and how it plays a vital role not just in our weight management, whether it is weight increase or weight loss, but also even if you are not into that weight loss zone, if you have to maintain your health in a better way so that you age better, then muscles play a very key role. Now, in this regard, there are three categories of people. The first category of people are the people who are already lean and they don't have any reason to work on their weight loss and all that. And anybody who is lean, they generally believe that they're already fit and healthy, and they don't have to exercise because whenever we talk about being healthy, it is synonymous with exercising, and exercising is also synonymous with maintaining your weight, right? Either weight loss or weight increase. So anybody who is lean, he or she thinks that they're already fit and healthy and they don't have to do any exercise at all. And there is another category of people who are working on only reducing their weight, or they are very much focused on their weight loss. And these days you might have seen in the social media that there are some posts where people boast about losing 8 or 10 kgs in a week. They post some pictures and then they tell about the story of how they lost their weight in these 1 month or 6 weeks or so. And I also see some videos in YouTube and even in Facebook where people say that they have followed some kind of just a liquid diet, or they just consume only shakes throughout the day. There are some diets where they have to just consume 2 or 3 shakes only per day, no other whole foods. And they also claim that they're able to lose a good amount of weight by doing all these things. Now, the problem here is these category of people are not paying attention about how their weight loss is happening. Is their weight loss happening because it is their muscle loss is it's due to their muscle loss, or is it because of their fat loss? So they're not paying attention whether weight loss is happening because they are losing muscles, or they really losing fat. Now the third category of people, or they are a bit active category, right? So they say that they are doing some 30 minutes of activity, they do some brisk walking or jogging every day, and they believe they are very healthy and they are not going to have any problems, right? Now, in all these three categories, we see that people don't pay any attention to their muscles or how they are kind of preserving it and how they are using it, right? So they are only concerned about doing some exercises, or they are only concerned about reducing weight, and they don't pay attention to muscles. Now, if you are falling into any of these three categories, then just type me in the comments, because in all these categories people don't pay any attention to the muscles, or they're not aware of what is happening to their muscles. So if you are following into any of these three categories, then this video is for you. So the next 10 minutes I'm going to share with you some life-changing facts which will blow you off. So don't miss this video. Now, if you take an example of anyone who's just sitting and watching TV, your body burns almost 1 calorie per minute, right? And if you're someone who is kind of doing some exercise, active exercise and all that, you burn almost 20 to 30 times more than what you were just sitting, and what you were burning just by sitting there. Now, when you're just sitting and watching TV or doing something of that sort, when you're just sedentary too much, your body, what it does is it takes only 30% of the energy that it needs for your activities from your muscles. Whereas if you're doing some exercises, particularly strength training exercises, then what happens is whatever is the energy that is needed for your body, it takes almost 80% of that energy from your muscles. Now, what is the big deal whether your body is taking the energy from your muscles or whether it's taking from some other sources? Now, the point to note here is that almost 80% of the carbs and fats that you consume, they get stored in your muscles in the form of glycogen. Now I'll cover probably in some other video on how your food is getting converted, what are the energy pathways and all that, but right now just understand that 80% of your carbs and fats are getting stored as glycogen, and some part of the glycogen gets stored in the liver first, and almost 80% gets stored in your muscles, and whichever cannot be stored in your muscles gets stored or they are accumulated as fats or adipose tissue throughout your body, right? So now if your muscle is less, then only so much of your carbs and fats can get stored in your muscles, and the rest will start accumulating as fats. Now, if you are having more muscles, then you are able to store more of whatever you eat as carbs and fats into your muscles, and that also gets utilized in the form of energy. And I've already shared in my previous videos that muscles are something like automatic calorie burners that you naturally have. So if you have more muscles, you automatically tend to burn muscles throughout, burn calories throughout the day, and if you are, and that is one way how you can stay more healthy. You don't have to do a lot of other gimmicks, just you try to make sure that you get more muscles. And even if you are eating more calories in the form of carbs and fats, you still tend to kind of easily burn them. So the point to note here is the key place in your body which helps in kind of burning fats and also storing whatever food that you eat as carbs and fats, right? Converting them and storing. The key place in your body where most of your carbs and fats that you consume is getting stored is your muscles, and that also helps in easily burning them away when you are doing some kind of strength training activities, right? And apart from that, naturally also throughout the day, to maintain your muscles, your body burns calories, again it takes from your muscles, right? So that is the importance and the big deal that I mentioned about muscles. Now if you take for example somebody who is not doing any activity, right? For example, who is just watching TV and all that. So for these people, they tend to burn less energy because their metabolism is also less, and people also tend to lose their muscles slowly and steadily as they age, right? So and one of the reasons why people these days lose muscles is because of our lifestyle that we have now, the modern lifestyle. That is also one of the reason why we kind of tend to lose muscles slowly and steadily. Now if you take someone like me, for example, who is thinking that I do exercise for 30 minutes every day, or I actively jog for 40 or 45 minutes every day, and my quota is done. I've done everything to stay healthy. Now these kind of people, what they do is they do exercises probably for 30 minutes or 40 minutes a day, and then they spend the rest 15 hours just sitting in a chair, right? So they have a very sedentary job, or they have a desk job as they call. So they just spend the whole day, almost like 12 to 15 hours just sitting on a chair, and then they probably go to sleep, right? So these category of people are termed as active couch potatoes. Now the term couch potato was traditionally used to refer to people who are just sitting on a sofa, they keep eating some kind of potato chips, and they keep watching TV, and they don't do any kind of physical activity. So those people were termed as couch potatoes. But in the modern lifestyle, we have active couch potatoes. Now these people also tend to kind of slowly and steadily lose muscles, because for a majority of time throughout the day they are not doing any kind of movement for their body, and that is also one of the reasons why people tend to lose muscles in this modern lifestyle. And after 30 years, your body generally tends to lose its muscle mass, and that is called as age-related sarcopenia. So what happens is you tend to lose almost 3 to 8% of your muscle mass in every 10 years period after you cross your 30 years of age. So this condition is called as sarcopenia. So just keep these numbers in mind, because towards the end of the video I'm going to share something which is based on these numbers. Now I just wanted to kind of take a look at this picture, which is a CT scan of the thigh muscle cross section, and there are like three CT scans that you can see. So one is of a 40 years old person who is active, and the second one is a 70-year-old person who has a very sedentary lifestyle, and the third is of a 74-year-old person who had again strength training and he had a very active life. Now if you take the middle picture, you can see that you have the center bone, and then it is surrounded by some gray area, right? That is the muscle mass, and a majority of the region around that is mostly white, which is the adipose tissue. So the adipose tissue is nothing but the fat that gets accumulated. Now in this case you can see that this person has a very sedentary lifestyle, meaning somebody who has a desk job, who is not moving for a majority of his time, and we can see that his muscle mass has deteriorated a lot and he has very less muscle mass and majority is fat. Whereas if you take the first and the third category, you can see that they have a lot of muscle mass. Now you might wonder, like, what is a big deal of having so much muscle mass for a 74-year-old person? What is it going to do to him, and what is the advantage of having so much muscle mass at such an age? And do you need such a high muscle mass even at like 70+ years of age, right? So one thing that we need to understand here is the muscles play a key role in providing strength and power to us. And when you have strength and power, it is very vital and plays a major role in giving you the proper balance for you, right? So you might have seen that older people are not able to get up by themselves, or they need help to walk. They might need a stick or somebody to kind of hold their hands, or they might easily trip and fall down, and they need help for most of the movements and all that. That is because they lose balance, right? And why they are not getting enough balance is because their muscle mass is very low, and because their muscle mass is very low, they don't have strength and power, and because they don't have strength and power, they are not able to balance themselves. Now you see the relation between having enough muscle mass and how it kind of helps you get proper balance, and how it kind of helps you having better mobility as you age, right? So the more muscle mass you have more freedom of movement, and you're not dependent on others. So your lifestyle will be better if you are able to preserve and if you're able to increase your muscle mass as you age. There was also a case study done with respect to kind of mortality rate of people who are below 60 years of age and people who are above 60 years of age. And in both these categories, they were examining people who are doing some sort of strength training or some exercises meant to preserve their muscles. So what the study found is that people who are doing strength training, they were having almost 50% less mortality rate, and they also had a better quality of life compared to people who are not doing any kind of exercises to preserve their muscles. So this is one great tip for you guys to kind of understand how preserving your muscles is going to kind of help you have a better life as you age, right? So not only that, the study found that they have a better lifestyle and their longevity is more compared to the group that is not doing any exercises to preserve their muscles. Now this is something that you need to pay attention, and you can avoid these kind of problems as you age if you're paying proper attention on how you're maintaining your muscle mass. Now Muscle loss also happens because of some kind of medical condition or some diseases like cancer, kidney failure or heart failure or osteoporosis and things like that. Now, whenever these kind of diseases come, your body rapidly loses your muscle mass, right? Say for example, if you take two persons, one is a person who is kind of doing a lot of strength training, and if you take another person who's not doing any exercise at all to preserve his muscles, and let's assume that both of them got affected by cancer, right? And if you take the person who's not doing any exercise at all, he might have just had only this much of muscle, and because of his medical condition, he will rapidly lose those muscles and he'll find it very hard to move around, and he will have a lot of other complications. Now compared to this, if you take the other person who had been doing strength training, he might have had this much of muscle mass, right? Because he's doing a lot of strength training and preserving his muscles. Now, even if he is getting affected by these kind of diseases, it takes time for his body to kind of reduce that muscle mass and bring to this level. So his mobility will be there for a longer time, and he'll be able to cope up and again get back to a proper form, and he will be having a better rate of recovering from these kind of diseases, right? So that is the advantage of having more muscle mass, right? Now, in this video, I had already told at the beginning that there will be a 3 to 8% of reduction or loss in muscle mass as you age, and this reduction happens over a period of 10 years. So every 10 years you tend to lose almost 3 to 8% of your muscle mass. Now, if you take the example of a teenager who is not doing any activity, right? This guy is just sitting and probably watching Netflix or playing games or things like that. Now, though he's a teenager, he has a tendency to lose almost 5% of his muscle mass in 2 weeks of time. Now, if you take another example of an older person who is having a very sedentary job and he is probably kind of bedridden because of his bad health, he might lose almost he must lose almost the same like 5 or 10% of his body mass in almost same duration of 10 days or 14 days. Now in both these categories we see that people are losing a huge amount of muscle mass, which normally they tend to lose over a 10-year period. So even this teenager, because he is not doing any activity, any kind of physical activity, he tends to lose almost 5% of muscle mass, which otherwise he would lose over a period of 10 years, right? Now, are you kind of blown away with this information, right? A teenager losing 5% of muscle mass because he's not doing any activity. So that is the kind of destruction that we do to our body because we are not doing any kind of physical activity that involves some kind of strength training. Now, this is something to watch out for and avoid, right? So we now know this information, so we can kind of watch out and avoid this information. Now we know about these muscles and what happens when we lose muscles. The big question that may be lingering around your mind is, now how do we kind of overcome this problem, or what should we do to kind of preserve the muscles, right? So the only way to preserve your muscles is doing some kind of strength training or weight training. There is no other way to kind of preserve your muscles. And if you have to particularly kind of grow your muscles, there's no option other than to do strength training. Now you might be thinking that why do we have to do the strength training in particular, right? Because we have always been told that even in olden days people were just doing some physical activity and they had very good life. And now in the modern day, that physical activity has transformed into the name as exercises, because in olden days nobody just thought about exercises. They were just doing the normal physical activity. But these are all very broad terms. The exercise is also a very broad term, and when we say that people did have physical activity in olden days, everything is a very broad term, right? But if you go and pay attention to what kind of physical activity our ancestors were doing, they all involved a lot of strength training by themselves, right? Like olden days, people have to kind of draw water from the well, which is again kind of pulling weight, or they have to kind of carry things on their own, and they used to kind of use some heavy equipments to do farming, or they were working in some other industry where a lot of manual activity involving weights were there, right? So because of that, they were able to preserve their muscle mass, and they had a better quality of living. They had better mobility, strength and power compared to us. Now when we come to the modern age, everything has become automated, right? So you don't have to lift any weight and do it by yourself, because we have machines available for all those activities. Even as simple as washing your clothes, or kind of making this dosa or idli batter, everything has become automated. So you literally have no activity where you can do some kind of strength training for your muscles. So even if you are someone who is not interested, or who's against this concept of lifting weights or strength training, you can at least do some form of body weight exercises. Now, some of the best bodyweight exercises that I do, and I love doing them, are push-ups, or squats, pull-ups, or sit-ups. So you can do these simple bodyweight exercises, which are a great way to kind of preserve your muscles, and they also kind of help in growing your muscles as well, if you're doing in the right way. Now these are general exercises, and anyone can do these exercises, right? So if you're not using your muscles, if you're not building them, then you are going to kind of start losing them. So when it comes to muscles, there is only one thing that you need to understand: use it or lose it, right? So if you find this video useful, just like this and share with me in the comments on what information you found it very useful, and which thing really kind of surprised you, right? And if you have any kind of questions, feel free to go and write in the comments, and I'll be reading each one of them, and I'll be glad to help you.